Well, thank you very much. I'm just obviously excited to be here with everybody. And what I wanted to do is I came here to share, and I came here to give some valuable information. And if we wouldn't mind, anybody who's on, if everybody can put themselves on mute. And what I want to do is I want to share with you folks some strategies so that you can improve. So I want to share with you a quick story. You know, I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, got my degree in sports medicine. And I had a dream, and I loved sports. And I was a professional football trainer, coach for about 8 years. And from there, I had a very successful career in football. And then, unfortunately, I got hurt, and I started a business. And I took my credit card out to start my business, and it was the most incredible idea. It was going to help people save time, energy, and money. Imagine and picture this. So I launched this business my first month. Guess how many customers I got? 0. I thought if you had a good idea, customers would show up, right? So I did what most entrepreneurs did. I made the product better. I launched it the second month. Guess how many customers I got? 0. So I figured out, how do you get a customer? And that's when I found out about sales. And I use what they call in the beginning the 6-foot rule. Does anybody know what the 6-foot rule is? Anybody within 6 feet from them, I tried to do what? Sell them. And in fact, I would rather goggle razor blades than sell somebody $99 at one time. But I found out that selling is a system. So then I'm thinking to myself, why am I selling one-to-one? Why don't I sell one-to-many? And that's when it took off. I did my first seminar in a Denny's restaurant with 12 people, the first one, and I made $2,000. I was like, wow, this is the way to go. So long story short, I was doing more seminars and more seminars. Within the first year, I was doing 20 seminars per month. And I was doing a seminar at lunch and at dinner. Testing, what color shirt to wear, what color tie to wear, what set of stage you put the product on. Then I learned NLP, then I learned hypnosis. I started neurolinguistics. And then I found out that really speaking is a system. So what happened is I found out that Dave VanHoose can only do 2 talks a day, 5 days a week. I did 10 talks a week before I lost my voice. So I'm calling everybody up. I'm like, how do I get my voice back? Now imagine this, picture this. I was making $50,000 per talk. And I was doing 2 talks a day, 5 days a week. So you can do the math. So I did over $14 million in 1 year. But then what happened is my company bottlenecked because Dave VanHoose can only do 10 talks a week. So I asked myself, how do I duplicate myself? And that's when the ego kicked in and says, you can't duplicate Dave VanHoose. Well, I found out you could. So what I want to empower people with is a simple system that anybody can use. An easy, predictable, scalable, trackable system. Now, one of the biggest things I want to share with presenters is this. I see a lot of people that want to be professors, they want to be speakers or presenters. What I want to challenge you to do is not become a presenter, become a presentainer. And a presentainer is somebody who can captivate the audience, engage the audience to hang on to every single word. And at the end of their presentation, he doesn't get them to walk to the back of the room to buy. They don't even run to the back of the room. They dance to the back of the room. And so you have to understand that what I teach is teaching or speaking to influence. What I teach is I don't teach a speaker to get up there and talk, and then at the end, that's not the business I'm in. What I teach is that as a presenter, you want to influence people to take an action. Because I learned this. You can't change anybody's life in 90 minutes. You can change their life if they take an action. They invest in themselves. They take a different action. And that's what I want to teach you. So what I want to share with you is real quick. Now, I want to share this with you. I've done over 3,000 presentations. I've been considered the #1 closer in the world. And today, I own a company called Speaking Empire. And what my company does is I write presentations. Now, one of the things I want speakers to understand is the speaking business is like the acting business. A professional actor doesn't write their own script. They go to Hollywood. Think about this. You can give a bum actor like Arnold Schwarzenegger, give him a great script, and he can win the Emmy, right? So this is one of the biggest things that I see speakers do, is if they got a speaking gig, they usually wait to the night before to write their talk. That's the worst thing you can do. And I want everybody to understand this. Every single thing affects the clothes. From the shirt that you wear, the tie that you wear, the PowerPoint slides, the color of the graphics, the sequence of the presentation. And so what I want to share with people is what I've been teaching, which is my presentation blueprint. Now, before I do this, I want to share something with you real quick. To me, what a presentator is this. Somebody who can teach on any subject, influence the crowd, and get the audience to not walk but run to the back of the room. So real quick, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share my screen here. We're going to go live behind Dave VanHoose from Speaking Empire's room, and I'm going to show with you my computer, and I'm going to pull up a clip. Here's an example. So I got a call for one of my students. I've got students, speakers all around the world. I've got clients in 109 countries, and I've worked with 49 different industries. One of my students called me and says, "Hey Dave, I've got about 800 people at my event. Would you come fly to Russia and speak?" Now, typically, if you're a speaker, you have objections. Well, first of all, I don't speak Russian. I don't have a Russian product yet. To me, I said, no problem. I want you to watch very closely as I do a presentation and literally at the end of my talk, make over 400 US dollars. 400,000 US dollars, almost $500,000 from this talk. And what I want to challenge people to do is this. As a speaker, sometimes you got to be flexible. And so what I did is a strategy I teach my speakers, which is to pre-sell. Sometimes I tell people, don't build it and try to sell it. Let's sell it first and see if there's a market. And so obviously, to me, I want you to watch very closely and watch people go to the back. They're not there to ask questions. They're there to enroll in my product or service. So let's go ahead and watch very closely. Now imagine that, picture that. The question I have for everybody is, if I could show you a way to put all of your ideal prospects into a stadium, could you deliver the perfect presentation, what I call your signature talk, where at the end of your presentation, people don't have questions, they dance to the back of the room to invest. This is a whole different level of presenting. Anybody can get up on stage and talk and get people to clap. It's a whole different a level when you can get people to enroll. So what I want to share with you is my magical blueprint. We're going to go behind the scenes on my computer, and I'm going to pull up on my computer my presentation blueprint. Now, I want everybody to understand this, is that, write this down, success loves sequence. So what you want to do is like they do in the movies, you want to write your presentation. Now, what I teach my speakers to do is a different technology. I don't teach you to become a pushy salesman. I don't teach you to push people into sales. What I show you is a different technique. I want everybody to write this down. It's called non-resistance. When I learned NLP and hypnosis, what I learned in that technology is that if you really want to persuade people, you don't tell people what to do. You help people discover their truth. And the definition of discover is uncover what's already there. So what we want to do is we want to take people down a mathematical equation where you're taking people down your presentation, and at the end of your presentation, in their minds, They say, I want and I need that, and they take action. So this is a whole different way to communicate, which is a technology that I created called How to Become a Presentainer. Now, when I write a presentation, I want everybody to understand this and watch me very closely and listen. There's 5 key components. You've got the introduction to your presentation, and you want to then do the introduction correctly. Now, the second thing you want to do in your presentation is you want to tell them your story. Now, we all know that stories sell, facts tell. Then you want to take them down here to the offer, and then you come into the body, and then the most important thing is the close. What's the most important thing? The close. So what you want to do is you want to take people through a mathematical situation where in their mind they say, I want and I need this. So now let's break this down. I want to make sure that everybody can see me real quick. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. We're going to walk through this blueprint. Now what you want to do is the introduction to your presentation is one of the keys to your success. What you want to do, and I'm going to pull this up so we can see this blueprint. In the introduction, you want to use what they call an intro video. Now, an intro video will really set the frame. Now, I want people to understand this. The sale happens within the first 1 to 3 minutes. So, what you want to do is make sure that your introduction to your presentation is the key. Now, I want to share with people one strategy that they'll be able to take right here and right now away, which will double their close, which is this. Typically, if you're a speaker and you speak on a circuit, they'll have an MC introduce you. Now, will you do a good job or a poor job, speakers? A poor job. So, a better strategy would be to do this. Find out who the trusted advisor is. So let's take an example when let's just say I speak at Tony Robbins' seminar. The reason why everybody's there is because of Tony. So when Tony speaks, they listen. So what I'll do is I'll find Tony and I'll say this. Hey, Tony, would you mind introducing me from the stage? It'd mean a lot to me and my family. So now here's the key. When Tony introduces me, I want everybody to imagine this and picture this. As soon as he introduces me, he might say something like this. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Dave VanHoose. And Dave is somebody who's one of the top speaker trainers in the world, and he wants to share with you how to become a presentainer. So let's give him a warm welcome. So now here's the key. As soon as I come up from stage, as soon as I get the handshake or hug, then the transition of power becomes me. Now I'm their trusted advisor. So when I speak, they listen. So you got to set up the introduction. The second thing you want to do is most people want to get up on stage and talk at people. This is a big challenge that beginner speakers do. That's a bad strategy. A better strategy would be to excite the imagination of the audience, bringing them into your conversation. So at one of my trainings, I teach NLP and what they call mind triggers of how to instantly grab the attention of the audience. The third thing you want to do is introduce what they call the yes state. All great successful salespeople know that 7 yeses equals a sale. So what you want to do is you know that small commitments equals the big commitment. So the very first sell of the presentation is getting the audience to agree with you. Now, after you get introduced to yes state, then you want to what they call pre-frame your talk. Now, pre-framing is a very, very powerful persuasion technique. What pre-framing will do is open loop the subconscious mind. And when you do the framing and the open looping correctly, your audience will be hanging on to every word. And then after that, you want to go, why your topic? You got to make your presentation about them. Get them excited about the benefits. And then you need to go, why now? Because obviously, at the end of your presentation, if people don't take action now, they never take action. So we got to share with them, why now? And then you're going to come up to credibility. So the introduction should be to grab the attention, introduce the yes state, frame your talk, why your talk, why now, and credibility. Then after that, now we're going to come over to here to the story. We all know that stories sell, facts tell. Now, one of the things I want to share with everybody is this. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I'm just speaking the truth. And here's the truth that I know. People don't buy your product. They buy you. So one of the biggest rookie mistakes that I see is people trying to sell the product. No, they buy you. If they don't like you and trust you, they're not going to buy from you. So you've got to share your story with them. That's how you build instant rapport. And what you want to do is you want to take your audience on an emotional ride. Then after your story, then you want to come down here to the offer. This is where I tell people to stop selling and start solving problems. Every human being has one motive, and that is to remove pain. So what you want to do is you want to target the problem and then offer them the solution. So then after the solution, then you want to come down to the body. This is where you want to build value. Now, a big rookie mistake that I see a lot of presenters make is they overteach. Here's what a big rookie mistake is. They'll take 2 hours of teaching and put it into 90 minutes. Okay? What you want to do is you want to break down your teaching into 5 keys or 5 steps. If your presentation is an hour or longer, it's 5 keys. If it's less than an hour, you make 3 steps. Okay? You don't want to over give so much content that you put the people into boredom. Then, obviously, what you want to do next is this. People buy results. Okay? Now, here's a ninja strategy. Typically, when you're presenting, people are going to have objections. Typically is, I don't have the time, don't have the money, this won't work for me, you don't know my industry. So whatever their objection is, you need to make sure you overcome the objection during your presentation. I hope that's making sense to everybody, and you're getting this, and this will work for you. So the best way to overcome objections is through social proof stories. So typically when I write a presentation, I will build into the presentation 7 overcoming objection social proof stories. Then you want to come over to the lifestyle, and then you want to show them the benefits. People don't buy features, they buy benefits. Now, one of the biggest things I see a lot of people do when they're doing presentations is when they get to the close, they don't know how to transition from teaching to close. In fact, everybody in the room can feel the energy shift. So what you want to consider to do is the best way to segment to the close is to ask a question and permission. Would it be okay with all of you if I shared how I can help you? Okay, great. Here it is. Now, when you come into the close, you want to present your product. You want to build massive value. You want to sell on retail. Then you want to do a price discount. And then you want to come and do a call to action. Now, majority of speakers, what they don't do is they don't tell people what to do at the end of their talk. Okay? So you really have to figure out when you're doing your presentation, where are you going to drive the sales to? Are you going to drive them to the back table, which is one strategy? Are you going to bring them and drive them to you? Or are you going to hand out an order form? So what you really need to do is you need to strategize. Each environment is different. So I want to give you an example. So I had an opportunity to speak in Canada. And there was a seminar with about 2,000 people. And I was really excited about this. This is about 7 years ago. And I saw a majority of the speakers before me that were speaking that were closing like nobody. And I was like, oh my gosh, man, this is not going to be a good crowd. And I was selling my product for $8,000, and these guys were selling their product for $100,000. And I'm like, man, this is a tough crowd, right? So I got up there, I did my presentation, and I got to the end. I said, everybody get up right now and go to that back table. And out of the 2,000 people, 563 people ran back to invest in $8,000 for my product. Now, what happened is this is one of the things you have to know, is you got to manage everything. The back table was unprepared, untrained, and didn't know how to deal with the 500 people that wanted to purchase my product. So you can do the math. 500 people times $8,000, a lot of money. So let's just say this, after the dust cleared, I lost over 150 sales because of the back table wasn't prepared. So these are the things you got to consider. So sometimes you might want to send them back in waves. So I close so well, I close in waves so that I can slow down the sales process so that people can process the orders. So sometimes if I don't trust the back table, then I bring them to me and close them and have them come up and grab the order from me. Now, one thing you want to consider, the number one reason why people don't buy your product or service is because of this. They feel like they were ripped off. So what you want to do when you create your presentation is a zero risk opportunity. So you want to have a money back guarantee. Then after your guarantee, you want to come up to the fast action bonuses because you want to reward them and sweeten the offer. So in a nutshell, what I wanted to share with everybody real quick is when you write a presentation, success loves sequence. You've got to build your presentations so that way at the end of your presentation, there should be a natural flow of people wanting to enroll in your product or service. So if you're doing presentations, when you're going to write a presentation, you don't wait till the night before. Because I'm going to share this with you. When I speak on a stage, I just spoke last week on a stage, and majority of the speakers there maybe sold $5,000 and $10,000. Well, some of you say, that's not bad. Well, I closed $150,000. So what's the difference? They're going home with $5,000, $10,000. I'm going home with $150,000. So it's the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to serve more clients? And instead of speaking 200 times a year, let's speak 20 times a year. So it's really about optimizing your pitch. And that's one of the things that my company does. And what I do is I help people be able to create what I call your signature talk. So real quick, I went run through this very quickly, but I wanted to share with everybody real fast. And I want to put my screen back on here and see if we have any questions about that. And so I think one of the important things is that I want to get clear to this. If you are speaking from stage, I want you to become, and I want you to be prepared. I want you to show up like a professional and deliver a presentation where people never forget you again. In fact, even if they don't want your product or service, they go tell other people about you. And this is what a true great presenter can do. And I'm here to share with you that I see a lot of presenters. I work with the top presenters in the world. And one of the biggest things that I see that most speakers have is an ego problem. And they think they're good and they don't want to be trained. But I'm here to share with you that if you haven't learned NLP, if you haven't learned hypnosis, then you're not a great speaker, because you need to emotionally connect at such a deep level with the audience. And that's what causes massive change. So I quickly wanted to share with everybody. I hope you guys love that blueprint. That blueprint has made over $4 billion for all the companies in the world. I've written over 500 presentations. And if there's any questions anybody would love to know about webinars or speaking from stage, what I'd love to do is for any of you that would want to get some information, you guys can go to my website. It's called speakingempire.com, and you can log on. We've got some free gifts for everybody to really empower you to make you a better presenter and speaker. And so, Howard, I wasn't sure if you had any questions from any of the folks. One of the big mistakes that I see people make when they write their presentations is they start with the first slide. What you want to do is you want to start with the end in mind. And you want to start with the last slide, and then you want to build your presentation backwards. And as you can see me behind me in my office, this is the blueprint that we went over. And you want to mathematically put your presentation in the right sequence.